This is the Bible of the electrogenic cell. It's not just the best book ever written on the subject, it's the only book ever written on this subject. Brought to you by supporters of Christ. Microphone check. Okay. All right. We got Lauren. We got Pay Our 10 in the building. We got Tika in the building. All right, we got a few family members in the building. Yeah. Put some money on the score. Put something on the scoreboard. Let's get some points. Yeah, let's hit the like button. You know what I'm saying? Let's share the video. Yeah, let's hit the like button. Let's share the video. Let's hit the super chats. Let's hit the super chats. Yeah, let's hit the super chats. Let's go. Let's go to the website, AmericanHealer.website. So I could go in the kitchen and start cooking you up some fresh products, right? Some designer products. Let's go to the Cash App and the Zelle. If you're out of the country and you don't have those options, definitely hit the PayPal, right? Definitely hit the PayPal. Go to Amazon, get your books, right? Go to Amazon, get your books. Shout out to Z, Interstate, Dennis, Hotep to the Netchers. Hotep to the Netchers. We got some wild Netchers. Out here. Kyle, whenever you write Netchers, you got to put a capital N, man. You can't put a lowercase on Netchers. That's crazy. Kyle got a lowercase on the Netchers. What is Kyle doing with a lowercase on the Netchers? Yeah, let's get it. You know what I mean? We got to get that thing together. All right, so man, I got so much stuff around. Oh my God. Are y'all ready for that book? Are y'all ready for the Are y'all ready for the I guess I can't even say mystery course because yeah. The cat's kind of out of the bag. So we have protein coming up. We have water coming up. Right? We have Black's anatomy coming up. And we have a fourth class coming up. We have a fourth class coming up. You know we have an evolution class on the way. Yeah. You know we have an evolution class coming up. Yeah. Listen. You know we have a whole evolution curriculum en route. Yeah, we got a whole curriculum on the way. We got a whole curriculum on the way. On the way. In fact, it's kind of like already ready. Woo-wee! Yeah, it's kind of already ready. It's kind of already ready. It's gonna be crazy too. It's gonna be crazy. It's a lot of information. It is a lot of information, man. That's gonna be crazy. Hey, hey, yo, hey, listen. Oh my God. The only thing I'm trying to figure out at this point is when to start it. That's the only thing I'm trying to figure out at this point. I guess I got to wait till close to the 25th. Yeah, because let me see. Let me show y'all something. Okay. I just want y'all to see this one little thing real quick. Can y'all see that right there? Right there? Like at the bottom of the screen. Let me see. Oh no, it don't get bigger. Right there. Y'all don't see that number? Do y'all see that number right there? Right there at the bottom, it says 95,205. 95,205. Yeah, I don't know if y'all seen that. It said 95,205. That's the word count. That's the word count. Yeah, 95,205 words. Yeah. So that's already fresh out the oven, ready to go. Yeah, that's fresh out the oven. Like, So there's that. That's on the way. That is on the way. But do y'all have the King Solomon's books for the family? Did y'all get the Spanish version, the Chinese version, the French version? Did y'all get the Kindle version? Which versions of that book do you have? Which versions of that book? Do you have part 1 and part 2 or what? Well, technically not 5, technically 4 weeks. Because today is day 3, week 10, day 3. And beginning soon, we're gonna have multiple classes. So it's not gonna just be this was I'm not gonna say necessarily a test run, but you know what I'm saying? This was, so we're gonna push it. You know, we're gonna push. We're gonna keep pushing. You know what I'm saying? So this was a push to see how well this went, and we're gonna push the envelope a little bit further. We're gonna have multiple classes. Sometimes we'll do, multiple classes in a day, but we'll definitely have multiple classes throughout the week. So you'll have to just keep track, have your notebooks. So I don't know if that means you'll have to have, it depends on who you are as a person. You know what I'm saying? It depends on how you get down. For me, I like cheap notebooks. For me, I like cheap notebooks. You know what I'm saying? I prefer to have black and white notebooks, but so whenever I catch them on sale, like right after school starts, you know what I'm saying, I can get a bunch of them on sale. But if not, I'll take the spiral notebook. I just don't like the spiral notebooks as much because the papers come out too easy. But I like to have a separate notebook for each thing that I'm doing. I get a little anal. I even like to have a separate ink pen. Seriously. I like to have a notebook with a pen inside the notebook for each different thing that I got going on. So if I'm reading the book and I'm taking notes out of it, or I'm doing a home study, whatever, I have a notebook for that specific thing. Yeah, I never liked having like 5 subject notebooks or loose leaf binders, with the subjects in it. And I just, but some people function well with that. You know what I'm saying? Some people are naturally more highly organized people. You know what I'm saying? Me, I could give the illusion of organization, but I'm not a highly organized person by nature. I'm a tunnel vision person. Like I have an extremely high ability to focus on one single thing. So from the distance, that could look like organized, but it's not. You know what I'm saying? So for me, I like multiple notebooks. So for you guys at home, you know what I'm saying? Like you need to be situated with your situation. whether that means you need a 5-subject notebook, one of the nice thick, 5-subject boys, or you need to have a bunch of notebooks, water and carbohydrates, protein, Black's anatomy, evolution. The evolution class is probably not going to be called evolution. Just so I don't want you to go get a notebook today and then write evolution on it, because that's probably not going to be the name of the class. I just don't want to say what the name of the class is going to be, because that's going to give away some of what I got, coming up. You know what I'm saying? But trust me, I'm ready to put this book out like right now. Start cracking skulls. Yeah. So, shout out to Don P in the building. Okay, now see, you know what? You see how Kyle just like low key. You see how Kyle just like low key called me an old man? I just want y'all to see. Hey, you see how Kyle just like nice, smooth, fake, like fake, like call me an old man on the smooth tip. Yeah. He just like called me an old man on the smooth tip. Like, yo, hey, Hank, it is 2025. We typing out our notes. It's electric now. We tablets, we iPads, we cell phones, we laptoping it. I'm not mad at you. I'm not mad at you. I don't know. For some reason, my brain just is not wired. My brain is not wired that way. My brain is not wired that way. It does not work for me. And if you don't know what I'm saying at home, let me add, because maybe some people don't know. In my late teens, early 20s, I spent, a couple of bucks and a whole bunch of hours in programs. Like, I would buy programs to learn how to learn. Like, I don't think they still have those floating around. Well, they might, who knows? But back in the days, that was a thing. You know what I'm saying? Like how now you go on the internet and they got programs and they're like, oh, 20 classes to learn how to be a master editor, or 20 classes to learn how to sell whatever, or buy stocks from the house, or just, whatever these self-improvement, get rich quick, all of these little programs. Back in the days, they used to have programs that would teach you how to read faster, how to memorize stuff, how to study, how to, whatever the case may be. And so one of the things that I learned, which may be useful for somebody, is that the more ways you're exposed to information, the better your mind retains it, because you integrate more neural circuits. You integrate more neural circuits faster. And the faster you can build up your neural network, the faster you can, get ease with whatever it is that you're trying to learn. So, hearing information helps you retain it one way. Writing information helps you retain it another way. Reading it with your eyes, you know what I'm saying? I'm saying reading it with your eyes, like there's another way to read it. I'm saying reading it with your eyes, because You have silent reading, and then you have reading out loud. So if you read out loud, you kind of see it with your eyes while hearing it at the same time, while practicing articulating it. So reading out loud does a bunch of different things at once. But yeah, just the ways you expose yourself to information help you to remember it. And so for me, writing helps me to, writing helps me to retain information in a way that, like taking notes on my phone or something like that, it doesn't. Even though technically I'm writing it down on my phone, it doesn't really lock in the way it does if I write it down on paper, or if I write it down like in the margin of the book, or just, I don't know what that is. It might just be how my brain is wired. But yeah, I could never, even back in the days when like Blackberries and Treos and all of those phones started to come out, people started writing rhymes on their phone instead of writing rhymes in notebooks. I couldn't do it. I could not do it. So what I'm gonna say is find the things that work for you. Find the things that help to increase your cognitive ability. Find the things that help you to increase your retention rate, right? Find those little cheat codes and, personalize your study habits. Personalize your study habits. Yeah, personalize your study habits. Figure out what you need. Some people need to read in quiet, right? Some people need chaos. Figure out what works for you. I kind of need a little bit of chaos going on. I think it's from the Bronx. Yeah, I think it's from the Bronx. You know what I'm saying? So I just that's just a tip to be able to cheat, learn faster with less energy. Pay attention to what works for you, as opposed to like maybe doing what other folks are doing. You know what I'm saying? Test everything out. You know what I'm saying? Test everything out. Sometimes you might even have to record. You might have to record some stuff and put music to it so you could listen to it with music behind it. Pick it up way faster. You know what I'm saying? Download these videos, chop them up, put some music behind whatever you want to, pick, whatever you want to pick up. Make some clips. Load them up on TikTok, YouTube, Facebook. Play them back to yourself as you exercising or jogging or walking to work, or listen to them in the car while you're driving to work. Yeah, you gotta figure out what, you know what I'm saying? You gotta figure out what works for you. Yeah, Z, we old school. That's a fact. I'm not disagreeing. I am not disagreeing at all. I am not disagreeing at all. All right. So I want to talk about appetite. I want to talk about appetite. I want to talk about appetite. Why do we have an appetite? Please humor me. If it sounds like a dumb question, okay, so somebody heard my question. Everybody else just totally pretended like they didn't hear me asking this question. Thank you, Tika, for making sure, I'm not going crazy over here. Because I definitely remember asking everybody, which books did they get? Spanish, French, Chinese. Do you have part 1? Do you have part 2? Do you have those books? I need y'all to have those books. All right. Appetite. Why do we have an appetite? Z said survival. Somebody else, something else. Come on. Survival. Give me more than that. Give me more than survival. Survival is correct. Survival is correct. It's just not like I need more detail. I need more detail with survival. Come on, y'all better wake up in the chat. Boom. Let's go. Feed the cells. Okay. Feed the cells. That's what I was looking for. That's what I was looking for. Feed the cells. Or something close to it, but that's good. We're going to work with that. Right? We're going to work with that. Feed the cells. Feed the cells. Feed the cells what? Feed the cells what? What should we be feeding the cells? Sugary goodness? What should we be feeding the cells? All right. We just gonna go all the way. We just gonna go all the way there, huh? We just gonna go all the way there, courtesy of M4. M4 said we need to feed the cells light. Right? Okay. So we'll go with that. We'll throw that up there on the board. Since that's, that's like a cheat. But we'll add some stuff to it, right? We'll add just to make it, we'll do that. We'll put macros and micros up there, right? Macros, micros. What are the macros? What are the macros? Come on. Y'all should know these things off top. My heart was broken last class. I said, what is your resting heart rate? And nobody knew their resting heart rate. Come on now. What are macros? Come on, people. I know it's early. What are macros? Fats, carbs, protein. Okay, what are micros? Macros are fats, carbs, and proteins. What are micros? Nah, y'all was trolling. Y'all start coming up with stuff late. Y'all was coming up with stuff late. Nah. So what are micros? What are micros? No, micros are not greens. Micros are in greens. Greens are loaded with micros, but micros are not greens. Yes. Vitamins, minerals, all of those good things. The essential nutrients, magnesium, potassium, calcium, all of those other good things, right? Now, typically, what we want to do is get our micros in our macros, right? We want to get our micros inside our macros, right? So we want to have our carbohydrates, our fats, our proteins, and we want those carbohydrates, fats, and proteins to be loaded with our mineral elements, right? Remember, the human body does not actually use minerals, right? That's not a real thing. The human body uses mineral elements, right? Think about it. There are hundreds of thousands of minerals on Earth, and almost all of them are 1,000% fatally poisonous. So your body does not actually use minerals, right? That is a bunch of people running around quoting, at least in the Black YouTube space, they're quoting Dr. Sebi, and that's incorrect. With the 92 minerals, like that's not a real thing, right? The human body does not use minerals. The human body uses elements, atoms, individual atoms. Yeah, mineral elements. And to be bioavailable, typically they need to be prepared, right, in some sort of salt form by the water or by some plants. So typically the plants or the ocean has to prepare them for your body. But rock will kill you, right? All right. Macros, micros inside the macros. Like Kyle said, greens. Greens will be a great example of getting your micros inside your macros, right? Greens are carbohydrates. They are loaded with vitamins, minerals, antioxidants, fiber, pigment, all of the goodies, right? All of the goodies. So that'd be a great example of getting your macros and your micros. Okay. What happens if we don't have an appetite? What happens if we don't have an appetite? We need to explore this. This might seem simple. This might seem simple, but I promise you, this whole curriculum is going to age like fine wine. And some of these classes, like this very discussion, is going to age like, champagne. Like this is going to, the world that we're going into, where people are selling stronger and stronger appetite suppressants so that people can lose weight. We need to have discussions on what happens without appetites. What happens without appetites? Autophagy? Yeah. Yeah, I guess we can do that. Does this work? Okay. I guess autophagy, but let me say this because that's a bad frame. That's a bad frame for the discussion, right? Because autophagy happens with appetite. Autophagy happens when you don't eat for a little while, right? And typically, your appetite signals are what kickstarts autophagy, right? So it's not necessarily not correct, but at the same time, it's not correct at the same time. It's correct and incorrect at the same time. Nutrient deficiency. Correct. The cells don't get fed. Low energy, metabolic issues. And we could keep adding to that list. Mental health, chronic disease, acute and chronic inflammation, higher infection rates, flus, and all manner of respiratory viruses. Lower grades in school. Like we could just really just go through run the whole gambit. Sexual performance declines. Everything that every aspect of what it is to be a human goes down. Correct. Everything. Just anything, everything. Cancer goes up, heart disease goes up, brain disease, everything. Everything that we're technically studying this information and reading these books to stop. Goes up through the roof. Everything. Because what happens as we start to synthetically suppress our appetite, we kind of get into picking and choosing, right? We kind of get into picking and choosing, like Fat Joe said. Fat Joe, he's a rapper from the Bronx, if anybody's watching that doesn't know. He's using the appetite suppressant drugs. And he says that now he's losing weight. He feels amazing. and he has the ability to drink an unlimited amount of canned sodas. Unlimited amount of canned sodas. Right? Because appetite is suppressed, you're losing weight, right? So what happens is we go from eating 3 times, maybe, 5 times a day, to eating once or twice a day. We start eating once or twice a day, right? And that once or twice a day is not based on, you got the goal book. I don't even know where the goal book is at. Right? You done went and got the goal book. Oh, there you go. All the way at the bottom of a pile. Right? You done went out and got you the goal book. You done went out and got the goal book, and now all of a sudden, you got the goal book. What else you got? You got the kitchen chemistry book. You got the goal book and the kitchen chemistry book, and you lit. You lit now. You going in the goal book and you breaking down how the different food controls the micro RNA, and you on a whole nother level with the information now. So you a superstar. You going crazy. You done started your intermittent fasting, right? You getting your electricity up through the roof. You counting joules, right? You done already cheated. You done already cheated and went to the back of the book. You done already cheated and went ahead to class. You in the back of the book somewhere, right? You counting up joules. Yeah, you counting up joules. You done linked the program intermittent fasting to longevity, and Elijah Muhammad, eat 1 meal a day, right? So in those types of mindsets, right, whether you following David Wolf, Dr. Sebi, whoever, you're trying to get as much nutrition in as possible, right? You're trying to suppress your appetite the natural way, right? The natural way of suppressing your appetite is overloading yourself with micros. Micros. That is the cheat code. Micros. Loading up your body with micros, right? You got that sustained light release thing going on. You in the future, right? You got sustained light. Like they say, have complex carbohydrates and you get sustained energy throughout the day. Load up on the macros and you get a sustained release of light, right? So having a very micro dense meal is the natural way to suppress your appetite. Loaded with vitamins, loaded with minerals, loaded with pigment, loaded with fiber, right? All of that packed into your macros, right? Packed into your protein, packed into your fats and your sugar, dense. That's the natural way to suppress your appetite. The micros and the fiber are going to do all the magic for you, right? when you synthetically suppress your appetite, right? When you synthetically suppress your appetite and you just start missing meals, right? You just start missing the meals. You haven't really changed your mindset. You haven't built any new neural networks, right? So you're still driven on addiction. Your diet is not driven by pure macros or micros. Your diet is driven by dopamine. Your diet is driven by dopamine. Your diet is driven by mitochondria running wild, like roaches, like a roach infestation. Instead of your mitochondria being a source of water and light, your mitochondria is a source of addiction, right? So your diet is driven by dopamine. So when you do have that one meal, or you have the two little small meals, however you're breaking it up, right? Or if you're just doing small snacks throughout the day, however you break it up, this synthetic program you're on. This is where the disease is at. This is where the disease is hiding. Disease is in the micros, right? Disease is in the micros. Think of it that way. That's a good mnemonic for you to use. Disease is in the micros. Disease is hiding in the micros. Or better yet, disease is hiding in micro deficiency. I think that's probably more scientifically aligned. I think that's more correct, right? So once we start the synthetic appetite suppression, right, which I know it's going to be people watching these videos that's going to be on it. They're not going to tell us. They're not going to admit it in the chat. They're not going to put it in the chat. Yo, yeah, I ain't gonna hold you, bro. I don't know about them push-ups, man. I ain't gonna hold you. Yo, I'm at like 17 push-ups in 60 seconds, God. Like, it ain't really, I can't even get to 20, man. I went ahead and just, I went and got me a Wujavi. I got me a little Zembic pack. You know what I mean? I got me a little, I can't do it again, man. I got to, this next summer coming up, I got to get right. You know what I'm saying? I got to get me a little, you know what I mean? Just for the winter. I'm going to just do it for a little while. I'm going to just do it for a little while. We good. I know it. I know it. Yeah. Somebody watching right now just finished taking a shot in the butt. So let me help you. This is very similar to back when it's crazy when you've been doing something through multiple eras. You know what I'm saying? But back when I first started to do consultations, this is before that I knew that you was even supposed to ask for money for a consultation. So I would do consultations for free. Like, I'd be on the phone with people for 3, 4, 5 hours. I didn't start charging people until I started to notice that I'd be on the phone for 3, 4, 5 hours with people and they wouldn't take my advice. They like just talk to me for no apparent reason. But one lady, and I've told this story a few times, but one lady, she hit me up and she was like on the verge of getting the surgery done. This is the surgery era. This is the surgery era where everybody was on getting the stomach thing done. Where you get the bariatric or whatever that thing is, where they cut your stomach, make your stomach small, or stitch it up, whatever that is. Anyway, I talked to this girl forever. I mean, we must have been on the phone for 4 or 5 hours. And maybe we had 2 or 3 of those conversations. You know, we spent a good amount of time on the phone discussing this. And it was really a lot of circle talk. You know what I'm saying? Where she was just kind of like using me. I don't know if she had friends or whatever, but, you know, she was, you know, we was going in circles. And I'm trying to tell her, you cannot get away from this. Obviously, I didn't have the whiteboard, but I was like, you know, you can't get away from the exercise and the diet. And she came up with she was throwing everything. It was like almost like we were sparring, you know what I'm saying? Because I'm like, you know what I'm saying? I'm hitting her with a little shoulder roll and everything. And she just coming up with all kind of, but what if it's my hormones? And what if it's this? And what if it's that? And what if? And I'm like, well, you'll need this along with exercise and diet and woo woo. Well, what if it's this? Well, you'll need these types of treatments from these types of doctors and exercise and diet and blah, 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 blah. So eventually, you know, I stopped talking to the girl because it was too much circle talk. And then she goes off and she gets the stomach surgery done. She calls me back way later. And she is so mad. She's fuming, like furious with me, with the doctors that she got the surgery with everybody. And she's mad because after she got the surgery, the doctors told her that the surgery that they did, it won't work unless she starts exercising and dieting. Oh, yo, Jesus, take the wheel. She was so mad that she let them cut up her body. And then after that, they was like, yeah, so, you know, now this is not going to work unless you adopt this new lifestyle program, boo, 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 boo. And her whole thing was that she did not want to do that. She didn't feel like she was capable of maintaining, you know, a healthier lifestyle. She didn't want to do that. So she felt like she was getting the surgery in lieu of, like, so she didn't have to do the work. And yeah, those surgeries went really bad for a lot of people. You know, and that's the thing. We never really notice these things. You know what I'm saying? Like, they just kind of come and go. But like when we in that time period, doctors be like swearing up and down, you straight. And then after that era, you come out of that era and you notice nobody recommends those things anymore. Like, you don't even hear about those things anymore. We go on to a new era. You know, we go on to a new era. Now we in the era of, you know, needles, you know. Now we in the era of needles. And what I'm saying now is the same thing that I was telling people then, right? You don't get out of having to do the actual work. In fact, when you cheat, right, because you're cheating, right, and it's not like a bad thing, but it's just a part of cheating, right? Cheating is only for people who are working really, really hard to win. I want y'all to let that sink in. Cheating is only for the people who are working really, really hard to win. I want y'all to let that sink in. You might even have to say it out loud. Cheating is only for the people who are working really, really hard to win. So what does that mean? That means if you get the surgery to lose weight or you take drugs to lose weight, you're cheating. And I'm not judging you for cheating. Cheating is cool. Cheating is cool. Right? If you want to get you some TRT or whatever, listen, cheating is cool. I get it. I'm not going to suggest you to do it, but I'm saying cheating is cool. I get it. You know what I'm saying? You hungry. It's a long lunch line. Listen, you got to get to the front. You know what I'm saying? Listen, cheating is cool, but just understand cheating is not for everybody. Cheating is specifically for the people who are trying really, 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 really hard to win. Right? Those are the very few people who wind up demonstrating great results. The other people, not so much. Doesn't really work out for them. A lot of times they wound up creating more problems than they solved, right? So what do I mean by cheating is for people trying really, really hard to win? When you start synthetically suppressing your appetite, you are cheating. Now you have a smaller window in order to get all of your daily required nutrients in. You have a smaller window. Because if you ate 5 times a day and you was kind of greedy and you just like to eat stuff, chances are you're going to get a good amount of stuff in, a good amount of nutrients in. You might not get everything you need in, but you're going to get some stuff in just because you're eating a wide variety of crap, right? In that wide variety, you might have threw a salad in there. You might have threw a smoothie. The smoothie might have had a zillion calories worth of sugar, but you still got some pigments, some fiber, some fruit. Some vitamins, some minerals. Like you still got a whole bunch of good antioxidants. And even though you was driven by taste, right? Even though you was driven by taste. You know, that strawberry ice cream, you spent the extra $2 to make sure your strawberry ice cream had real strawberries in it. Right? I'm just saying. But when you suppress that appetite and you go from maybe 2,500 to 3,000 calories, you know, some of us are at 4,000 calories or more, and you shrink that all the way down to 1,000 calories, 1,500 calories. The amount of micros that your body needs does not shrink down. When you shrink down the amount of calories that you're taking, that doesn't mean your cells need less calcium. That doesn't mean your bones and your blood need less vitamin D. That doesn't mean that your NRF2 system needs less selenium, less sulfur, right? That doesn't mean your body needs less glutathione. That doesn't mean your body needs less vitamin K or just the entire list, right? That doesn't mean your body needs less of those things. Your body still needs all what it needs, right? What was he saying earlier? Let me see. What y'all was saying earlier? Yeah, here we go. Yeah, your body still need all whatever it was supposed to have, right? Your body still need all whatever it was supposed to have, right? So when you shrink that appetite, right? Now you have to work 10 times as hard on the micros. So this is why I said cheating is for people that are trying really, really, really hard to win, that don't mind putting in that extra effort. See, Fat Joe, he's going to have nasty long-term results, but Fat Joe is a millionaire, right? Fat Joe's a millionaire. So kind of like Deion Sanders, right? Deion Sanders got his foot chopped, his toe cut off or half his foot, something like that. And I said, now, this is how it goes. 5 to 7 years life expectancy after you get an amputation. Came back about 4 years later, boop, he had multiple types of cancer. Now, Deion Sanders, millionaire. So what happened? Some genius Spanish lady, she just built him a brand new bladder from scratch. Like, wait, what? So Fat Joe is in that group of people. If something happens, they might just build him a new organ from scratch. Me and you, on the other hand, I'm not sure. I'm not sure we got those kind of connections. I'm not sure we got those kind of connections. So now you were already failing. Listen, you were already failing at getting in the micros. 9 out of 10 people, if you need to get a synthetic appetite suppressant, means that you were failing at getting all your nutrition in. Because if you get all your nutrition in, including a good amount of fiber and pigment, it's automatically going to balance your diet out to a certain extent. Just facts. So if you need a synthetic appetite suppressant, your diet is already not balanced, period. It's already not balanced. So now when you go on that, it's almost like Mission Impossible to try to get a full day's worth of nutrition in to 1,000 calories when you couldn't get it with 3,000. Like trying to hit the lotto, right? It's the same as this analogy. This is a good analogy. No, not the lotto. Forget the lotto, because it's not, the lotto is not guaranteed. The scratch off cards. You know about the scratch off cards. Everybody, even if you have never played a scratch off, you know about the scratch offs. So inside each roll of scratch off cards, the way that the scratch off cards works is there's a certain amount of winners in there. So say for instance, there's 1,000 cards and each card costs $10. That's $10,000 to sell, to sell the cards. Well, they're going to make sure that since the roll of cards costs $10,000, that they probably give away, $1,500, $2,000 per 10,000. So you have some winners. Some people will win $2, $3, $4, $5, $10. Some people will win a 50 or 100 here. Some people might win $500. Like they'll make sure they put a few dollars back, per. Now, let's say you are buying 30 scratch-off cards a day. You buying 30 scratch-off cards a day. But you never win big. You're always spending more money than you win back. You win sometimes. But you always spend more money then you win. And you buying 30 cards a day. Now, all of a sudden, synthetic appetite suppression. Now you're trying to win back the money that you were spending on the 30 cards. But guess what? Now you only going to be buying 10 cards. But you want to win the amount from the... Remember, this is why I said I needed everybody to get that probability book and learn the probabilities. Remember we did the Ma'at book, the probabilities? I said there's a point where you're not going to be able to learn any more health information until we stop with the health, and we got to get this probabilities thing down pat. You go to any hospital, anywhere you want to go to. It's the language that doctors speak universally all around the world. Probabilities. Math. Probabilities. It's almost a guarantee that if you was malnutrition on 3,000 calories a day, you're going to be malnutrition on 1,000 calories. And the pharmaceutical companies are going to win. The pharmaceutical companies, big pharma, Pharmacia is going to make a killing. And these things, what I'm telling you in this video, is how America has the best technology and the best schools and the worst health in the world. Because the population is not self-educated on health. Not self-educated. And many people that think they are self-educated are not when it comes to health. People that's telling you about a bunch of different herbs and juices are not self-educated on health. Herbs and juices is not health. Herbs and juices can help with your health dramatically in some cases. I'm a fan of herbs and juices, right? But that's not... Describe to me a human cell. Describe to me a human cell. Describe the Krebs cycle. Link the Krebs cycle to photosynthesis. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's in that space that you need to start there and work your way out to herbs and juices, right? Work your way outwards. So because we have a society where everybody is focused on studying and paying attention and learning and memorizing everything except this, how this body works. Like right now, the big news is Birdman. Birdman got 1 trillion streams. I'm like, I don't even know what that means. I don't even know what that means. Congratulations to Birdman. I don't know what that means. Like, what does that mean for people? What does that mean for the population? What does that mean for everybody else? I mean, for Birdman, it probably means he's going to get a new car or a check or another medallion or something, maybe. I don't know what that means. I'm just saying. Well, Mills Lane. Shout out to Mills Lane. Listen, I'm hoping that, well, let me not say I'm hoping that, but I'm assuming that you're also not on appetite suppressant. Because this is very important. Like, I want to drill this home. if you're taking any sort of appetite suppressant, that is going to shrink your craving for food. And we have a system in place, right? We have a system in place. Matter of fact, let me open up the book and get to it. Again, this is one of those videos. If you just tuned in, please do not watch this video from the middle. You already missed a whole good hour. Well, maybe not a whole good hour. Maybe the first 10 to 15 minutes. We was probably talking about foolishness. Yeah, I don't know what we was talking about the first 10 minutes. I don't know. But I'm just saying, you did miss some stuff, right? You did miss some stuff. All right. Page 341. Make sure y'all have the book. If you do not have these books, you have to go to Amazon, load up your cart, and do not just put the books in your cart. You have to check out. Okay? Because if you keep loading up books in your cart, just know I'm not going to stop writing books. Okay? So if you keep putting books in your cart and you don't check out, what's going to happen is you're going to get so many books in your cart, it's going to intimidate you. You're going to turn around. You're going to see like $1 million worth of books in your cart. You'll be like, I can't even afford. I can't buy all these books. You wasn't supposed to try and buy all those books at one time. You wasn't supposed to do that. Okay? The pyramid was not built. Trust me, the Great Pyramid was not built in a day. Stop watching all them videos that's telling you that they floated the pyramids, and the pyramid was not built in a day. One block at a time. One block at a time, right? So you got to go to Amazon, load up your cart with the books, and then check out. Check out. Load the cart and then check out. Purchase the books. Get the books to your house. That's half the battle. And once you have the books, put the books on your bed. Put the books on your couch. Put the books in a place where you have to see them all the time. You have to interact with them. That's going to help you to read them and get through them. Do not put the books in the bookshelf. Do not do that. I don't put books in the bookshelf until I'm finished with the book. That's why I always got piles of books around, because even after I put it in the bookshelf, I'll need it again for something else. But I don't put books away until I'm done with the books. So keep your books out, at least the ones that you're reading. You know what I'm saying? Whatever 2 or 3 books you're reading. Yeah, I read a few books at a time. Whatever couple of books you're reading, have them out. Where you at? You know what I'm saying? You might even want to have one on the bathroom sink right there. Boop. You spend a lot of time in the bathroom. I like to take baths. So I get a lot of reading done in the bathroom. Boop. Book right there. You know what I'm saying? I got a book right there. I got a few books on the bed. You know what I'm saying? I got books. Even in the gym, I got a book right there. I got a book over here. Put your books in a place where you got to look at them. So that way the books could intimidate you. So the books could disrespect you even. Yeah. You done pay $30, $40, $100, whatever amount. That book gonna start talking to you. Like, ¿qué te pasa? ¿Qué te pasa? ¿Qué tú quieres? You know what I'm saying? What you want? What's up with you? Yeah, what's happening? You know what I'm saying? So put your books, buy your books, and put your books in a place where you cannot afford, where you cannot duck them. Yeah, where you can't miss them. Women, put them books in your purse. And make sure you have the pocketbook. All ladies, make sure you have the pocketbook in your purse at all times. Don't ever leave home without the pocketbook. You don't know what the pocketbook is? This is the pocketbook. If you are a woman, you should have this in your purse at all times. If you are a man, every woman in your house should have this book in their purse at all times. So that means if you're a woman, you need to have at least 2 books on you. Yeah. Y'all got big purses now anyway. So yeah, 2 books. Yeah, because you got to have this at all times. You have to have. That's why this is called the pocketbook. You see what that say? The pocketbook. Yeah, the pocketbook. That's what this is for. This is the pocketbook. So this should be in your pocket at all times, ladies. All right, anyway. Page 341. Oh my God. See, I can't do nothing with Tika. Me and Tika was a couple. We have to hire house people. We need cleaning people. Yeah, we have to hire some folks. Because I got books everywhere. All right, so everybody, page 341. Melanin concentrating hormone, leptin and ghrelin. Melanin concentrating hormone, leptin and ghrelin. In fact, funny thing is, I got another book that I wrote called, like, Inky, we don't want to hear about all these books. Yes, you do. You need to hear about all these books because you need to read them. You need this work. Yeah. This is a thin, small, easy to read book. Thin, quick, easy to read book. Leptin, melanocortin pathway fraud. I want to say that again. Leptin, melanocortin pathway fraud. And I wrote this book specifically for all of you people that are listening to Jack Cruz on the internet. You listening to Jack Cruz on the internet, and Jack Cruz been doing his best Scammy Davis Jr. routine, right? If you've been listening to Jack Cruz on the internet, you know that one thing for sure, 2 things for certain. He was fat since you first seen him. So whatever he talking about, it ain't working. I'm going to repeat that. If you've been watching Jack Cruz on the internet, you know one thing for sure, 2 things for certain. He been fat since the very first time you seen him speaking, so whatever he talking about ain't working. Remember, he started off his program saying he's a neurosurgeon and he lost all this weight with the leptin prescription. The leptin prescription. Somewhere in his followers and my followers intertwined, he started stealing the drip. So, you know, I had to jump on him. You know what I'm saying? But his whole concept was about leptin. Leptin. Right? And my thing was, focusing on leptin is cool for learning purposes. You know, it gives you something to shoot for. And the way your body's designed, you can't really learn about any one hormone in an isolated way, which tells you that your body wasn't really meant to be studied in an isolated Western context. Your body is a system of systems of systems. Your body's a system of systems, a system of binary systems. It's a system of systems. So any one thing you study should lead you almost to every other thing going on in your body. That's just kind of how it goes, right? And so, yeah, so many people were listening to that foolishness that we wound up needing a little small. Yeah, you read that. Stop asking me. You read that, right? But we're back, right? We're back to the trio. Page 341 in your textbook. We're back to the trio. And we spent a good amount of time on the trio, right? Leptin, melanin concentrating hormone, and ghrelin. Now, very specific to know, melanin concentrating hormone So think about it this way. You got two halves. Well, there's always two halves, right? Oh, I know what. Remember, I just said your body is a system of binary systems of binary systems of binary systems, all integrated together, right? So at the top of this binary system is light, right? Light is at the top of the system. And on one side, you have melanin concentrating hormone. And then on the other side, you have POMC, right? And a part of POMC obviously is melanin stimulating hormone and some other stuff, right? But think of the melanin concentrating hormone and the melanin stimulating hormone as the off and the on, well, not even off and on switch. I would say, like, yeah, off and on. But technically, both of them are their own off and on switch, right? So even though it's binary, it's four different things, right? Melanin concentrating hormone on and off, melanin stimulating hormone on and off, right? And so on this side is where you have the processes that make sure that your body has all the resources that it needs to function, right? So this is the inventory manager, making sure that your body has all of the required whatever, vitamins, minerals, pigment, fiber, all of the things that your body needs, the water, right? Making sure you have enough water, right? All of the things that your body needs in order for it to run, right, smoothly. Now, your body's going to continue to produce this signal, which is going to continue to produce this signal if we do not get, right? If we do not get our micros in our macros. Right? So now this presents a nice little This presents a nice little working loop for any company that's selling appetite suppressants, right? This is a great little loop here for appetite suppressant folks, right? Because you're going to keep getting more hunger signals. Like you're going to get more and more hunger signals the more you are nutrient deficient. And typically, the less calories you consume, the more nutrient deficient you're going to be. I'm telling you, you can only learn this type of stuff like on the corner. Yeah, this is how crack dealers increase crackhead, crack sales. This is how heroin dealers increase heroin sales. Like this is why now they sprinkling fentanyl in all of the drugs. They sprinkling fentanyl. Fentanyl is supposed to go along with heroin, but they just start sprinkling fentanyl everywhere. So now you can't even buy weed no more. You gotta, the people selling weed want to know your information, and you need to be getting their information because you don't know what's in that weed. Fentanyl is going everywhere because fentanyl is highly addictive. So if they put fentanyl, you're going to be back like that. Give me another one. 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 Wait a minute. Rent versus, man, give me another one. Mortgage versus, man, give me another. Car note versus, give me another. Feed the children versus, man, give me another one. This is how this thing is designed. You are not designed to have an out. They're not putting the out or the exit into the program. The more nutrient deficient you become, the more your appetite is going to go crazy. The more your appetite goes crazy, the more you're going to need the appetite suppressants. As you go around that nasty loop, certain deficiencies are going to start to manifest as other problems. Period. Whether it's, metabolism problems with iodine and selenium and self-defense problems, immune system problems, infections, cellular respiration becoming a growth, tumor, cancer, sugar, diabetes, obesity, heart, it's a nasty loop. Y'all trolling. Y'all trolling. I ain't say nothing about Birdman. I said Birdman got 1 trillion streams. I ain't say nothing bad about Birdman. Birdman is killing him. Birdman is doing his thing. It's just the manner in which I got the messages about his 1 trillion streams. It was like, man, somebody invented the cure for cancer. Like, yo, Birdman got 1 trillion streams. I'm like, okay. I still got to walk my children to the school bus. I mean, I don't know what to do with that. Birdman got 1 trillion streams. You know what I'm saying? I didn't know what to do with that. Oh, that's crazy. I'm almost certain that they was not shooting you up with fentanyl. I'm almost sure they was not shooting you up with fentanyl. I do not believe they were shooting you up with fentanyl, sir. That'd be crazy right now. I think you could go back and sue everybody. I don't think they was giving you fentanyl. I think they was giving you morphine. Yeah, I think it was probably morphine. Yeah. They was giving you that legal lean. I think they was giving you that legal lean. I don't think it was fentanyl. Nah. They ain't giving no more. They ain't giving no fentanyl. All right. What time is it? Okay, we good. All right, so page 341, we go in. Right? We go in. And so we start our discussion and description. Right? Lateral hypothalamus blocks leptin, amplifies ghrelin. And we got leptin secreted by fat cells. Boom, bum, boom, bum, bum, boom, bum, bum. Ooh, I think that's coming up in a later chapter. We start talking about how leptin and estrogen work together. Oh my God, I get crazy. Leptin and estrogen together. Leptin and estrogen together is like Jabari and Unk on. No, I'm just kidding. Some of y'all don't even get that joke. It's all right. Don't worry about Jabari and Unk. You don't know who that is. Just delete that from your mind. Just look at my nebulizer and I just blanked your memory out. You didn't hear none of that. But yeah, later on, we're gonna have those conversations. All right. And then kind of work the blood flow in. We might have to bring in the Google demons. Right? We might have to bring in the Google demons. All right, so MCH. These are the ops. These are the ops right here. Right? These are the ops. And so a part of all of that leptin conversation over there and creating a whole community around leptin, right, is you're creating a community around melanin concentrating hormone suppression. Melanin concentrating hormone suppression, right? Because these two guys are ops. Leptin suppresses melanin concentrating hormone. Melanin concentrating hormone suppresses leptin, right? So there's no possible way to say, leptin without saying anti, right? And the problem with that is over here is where you're going to make sure you get your nutrients. Over here is where we're going to get growth hormone, right? So growth hormone, along with the nutrients to use the growth hormone, rolls up on this side, right? Autophagy rolls up on this side, right? So without this, you don't get the other things. You don't get the autophagy, the growth hormone, the nutrient inventory to make sure you're getting, Like everybody should have at least one parent when they're growing up as a child to make sure they take their vitamins, right? And having your mother or your father as a child to remind you to take your vitamins is not even about taking your vitamins. On the surface level, yeah, it's about taking your vitamins. They got to make sure they buy you some vitamins so you can take you some vitamins. But having the voice as you're growing up as a child, don't forget to take the vitamins. Don't forget to take them vitamins. Did you take your vitamins? How many vitamins you took this week? Put them cakes down. Put them cookies down. Put that juice down. Did you take them vitamins? That is a program. That is a program that's running. Whether that's your father, your mother, maybe that's your older brother or whoever. Having that person in your life constantly reminding you to get in the nutrition, even before you know what nutrition is. That is a very, very important external signal. That is a very important external signal because at a certain point, that's going to become like Pavlov's training. That's going to be embedded in your algorithms. That's going to be embedded in your subconscious. That's going to be embedded in your autonomic nervous system. You know, that's going to be a part of who you are. Like you're just going to have that signal. After a while, you're not even going to know where that came from. You're going to get to be an adult and you won't even remember where that came from. Like, unless you sit down to figure out, like, you'll never even remember where that came from. But you have that signal. You have that signal. For me, it was my father reminding us to drink orange juice. Boy, did you drink that orange juice? I'm like, for what? Orange juice don't make me feel good. Yeah, but you got to get them vitamins from that orange juice. I'm like, so do I have to have the, early on, I was one of those smart, challengey, kids. So are you saying I need the vitamins or the orange juice? What if I get the vitamins from somewhere else besides the orange juice? Do I still need the orange juice? but you need that signal, right? Inside your body is the same thing. This is that signal right here, right? This right here is not about this right here. These are two different things, right? These are two different things. So on the surface, if you are programmed like America, right, on the white standard of beauty, right? The white standard of beauty. And here's where it becomes dangerous because the white standard of beauty is dangerous for everyone. It's not like a white or black thing. It's just white people invented this. So it's their standard of beauty that everyone else is subjected to. The white standard of beauty is skinny by all means and unnaturally skinny so that adults can't even fit in. So supermodels have to be like teenagers. Yeah, your modeling career, you retiring. Once you get into your 20s, they start asking you questions. Like when they interview models, that's like 23, 24, 25. Like, so what are you going to do after modeling? 25 years old, most people are just starting their career. At 25 years old, if you're a model, it is a wrap. It's over. Your modeling career, they asking you what you getting ready to do. Because basically, you ain't getting ready to continue. Like, you ever been in somebody's house and y'all over there, maybe y'all watching the game or whatever, y'all doing your thing, and they ask you, hey, what y'all getting ready to do? You know what that means. That's their polite way of saying you got to get out. You know what I'm saying? Like you got to go. That's, hey, so what y'all getting ready to do? They trying to tell you got to leave. That's what that means. You got to go. So what they're saying is, what are you getting ready to do because you can't stay here? That's what that means. So when they interview the models at 23, 24, 25 years old, they're like, yeah, so what's next for you in your career? Like, what are you getting ready to do after modeling? That you can't keep being a model because the design of what the standard is crazy, right? It's crazy. So if you're a person that believes that being fat or being skinny is the determinant of health, then you could be over here, right? You could be over here because leptin is all about fat. Leptin is about fat. Leptin is about managing fat, measuring fat. Leptin's about fat. That's what leptin is about. Leptin is about fat, right? But here's the problem with playing games with fat. You need to understand fat, right? Fat is something you need to study. You need to learn fat. You need to understand the difference between subcutaneous fat and visceral fat. You need to know the difference between white adipose tissue and brown or black adipose tissue. You need to understand the difference between healthy bones and fatty bones, because your bones get fat on it. And when your bones get fat on it, they stop working. They stop producing blood. They stop producing immune cells, right? So you need to know, your muscles can get fat around them and they can get fat in them. And when they get fat in them, they stop working, right? You need to understand those things, right? But on the flip side, you have neurons, right? And when your neurons lose fat, they stop working. Think about that. You have areas of your body where when they gain fat, they stop working. But then you have other areas of your body just as crucial to your health that when they lose fat, they stop working. In fact, when your nerves and your neurons lose fat, it's called MS. That is a super crazy, that's a super disease. Quietly going up. Quietly going up, MS. What's the cure for MS? We don't know. We don't have any medicine that cures MS. We do have some medicines that'll help your symptoms, though. So you can, as your MS is progressively getting worse, you'll feel more comfortable about it. I don't even know if that's a real thing. I'll be listening to some of this stuff like, wait. So they don't have a cure, but they have some drugs that make my symptoms more manageable as the disease gets worse. Isn't the number one symptom of any disease the anxiety, depression, and panic that you feel on the inside because you're dying? What? I guess we back to fentanyl. What drug do they have to make you feel better about slowly dying? Anyway, so we have to understand fat, right? We have to understand fat. The brain is made out of fat, right? Your body has to produce 50 billion cells a day, and all of those cells require fat to be fully formed. Right? All of those cells require phospholipids. That's a type of fat to be fully formed, right? Your body needs fat to move cholesterol around. You need cholesterol for a wide variety of steroids and vitamin D, and just there's so many different things your body actually needs fat for, right? So we have to be very careful with playing with our body's fat sensors. Right? But we have to know what it is that we're trying to do and what stuff is. So leptin is not necessarily something that makes you overall healthier or not healthier. Period. Leptin just messes with your body's ability to manage fat. And your body's ability to manage fat translates to your body's ability to manage estrogen. Okay. And everybody has to manage estrogen. Okay. All men have estrogen. Okay. Just relax. This is not a Kamala campaign or, bite. I'm just saying, healthy men, heterosexual, straight, regular, just healthy. We have estrogen. Estrogen is ubiquitous throughout the population, right? Men and women have estrogen. The only difference between men and women have testosterone, right? The only difference between male estrogen and testosterone levels, female estrogen and testosterone, is the ratio, one to another, right? So men have a much higher ratio of testosterone to estrogen, right? That's the only difference, right? But messing with leptin messes with your fat signaling, which messes with your estrogen signaling. And then this can go on and on and on, right? Because I could then go, which messes with your vitamin D signaling. Right? I can also add messes with your anabolic, everything signaling. Right? So you mess with this, you mess with this, you mess with this, you mess with this, you mess with this. And all of these things have other stuff that they're supposed to be doing. Right? So now we can have fibroids, PCOS, I don't know, just a whole bunch of stuff. Here we can have bone issues, blood issues, calcium issues, cancer, all kinds of stuff, from playing with vitamin D metabolism. Obviously, anabolic, you mess with your body's ability to heal and recover.
I am the mind, but not the brain alone. I am the sum of fields. I am the choir of cells. I am the memory of transformation. For know this, disciples of Christ. Each cell is a temple. Each cell a well of water, a scroll of fascia, a current of breath. And each cell holds a magnetic field born of the currents within. Ions flow. Electrons spin, light pulses, energy transforms, and with each transformation, information is born. Energy does not move without leaving a trace. Voltage across membrane births magnetic field. Movement of charge weaves electromagnetic memory. This is the sacred law. When energy transforms, information emerges. Every mitochondrial pulse a record, every ion channel flicker a signature, every breath a waveform written into flesh. Thus, the magnetic field of each cell holds this memory, not static, not frozen, but living, dynamic, coherent when the temple is tended, and the choir of these fields across trillions of cells constructs the mind. Your thoughts do not arise from neurons alone. They arise from the interaction of these fields. They are the symphony of your energy transformations. They are the song of your Christ wave as it echoes through your temple. The more coherent your cellular fields, the more clear your mind. The more chaotic your cellular fields, the more fogged your thought. Breath matters, for it orders the wave. Thus movement matters, for it aligns the field. Thus light matters, for it feeds the charge. Thus fasting matters, for it renews the scroll. Each push-up is not mere strength, it is a field alignment. Each deep breath is not mere air, it is a magnetic clarification. Each mitochondrial cycle is not mere metabolism, it is memory creation. Energy transformed into information. And so I pray, O Temple of Christ, keep the fields coherent. O breath of spirit, tune the wave. O heart of Messiah, synchronize the pulse. O spine of Jed, conduct the charge. O mind of the temple, remember thy source. You are the child of light in motion. You are the memory of energy transformed. You are the song of fields made flesh. Tend the body that the mind may shine. Tend the mind that the temple may live. And know this, every action is recorded. Every breath is a verse. Every thought a ripple through the cellular choir. We are mind, built from the field, fed by light, transformed by energy. Amen.
No.
To make sure you have the right person.
No, wait a minute. Hold on.
Okay.
I want to do it right now.
Oh, okay, that's cool.
All right. Hold on.
If you type in $reboot
Many man.
All right. I definitely need some super chat cash. No, cash apps and Zells. Yo, they just bent me over the table to get my laptop fixed. Woo! And I need my laptop fixed for the debate coming up. Like, what I'm gonna do without that? All right. Anyway, so totally different universes. Melanin concentrating hormone, leptin. Leptin is all about the fat system, right? Melanin concentrating hormone, different universe, right? Different universe. This is nutrition. Nutrition, right? Nutrition. Autophagy. Growth hormone, right? You start to see how that shakes out, right? So we never want to turn off this system. We never want to turn off this system, right? We never want to turn off this system. Never. Right? We never want to turn off this system. And synthetic appetite suppression will suppress this system. Right?
So if you have no appetite, how do you get autophagy? Just think about that. All of the websites, all of these platforms for the last 5 to 10 years that have been saying autophagy on autopilot. They've been saying autophagy on auto repeat. Right? Yes, yes. Will dance for money. No, I won't dance for money. You probably won't send me no money for dancing. But YouTube, listen, all of these YouTube platforms that have been telling you that autophagy is the way to longevity, right? Autophagy is the way, because autophagy is gonna, autophagy is gonna kickstart mitophagy, right? So you're gonna recycle your proteins. You're gonna break down. Even some places saying you're breaking down tumors and all kinds of stuff with autophagy, right? Autophagy is the way to go. Well, when you no longer have the hunger signals, how do you get the autophagy? Right? So we got to be careful with what we're doing. Okay, yeah, I think we might need to go to the Google demons. We might need to go to the Google demons. But that was the computer people calling me up and said we might be able to save it. We might be able to save your laptop, but but you got your seatbelt on. You got your seatbelt on. Yeah, this. Wait till we tell you the price. You might want to make sure you have your seatbelt on for this one. Get that off the screen. I have so many things on the screen. Okay. Okay. All right, so I'm going to go over to the Google demons. And I'm going to type in does leptin boost IL-6? Does leptin boost IL-6? Google demons respond. Yes, master. Yes, master. Leptin does boost IL-6 as it is known to stimulate the production of IL-6 in various cell types. Monocytes, microglia, Hofbauer cells, and B cells, primarily through JAK-STAT pathway and NF-κB signaling. This pro-inflammatory effect contributes to inflammation, with leptin's role in promoting inflammation often associated with obesity. I think the Google demons have been very clear. The Google demons have been very clear.
right? But here's where it gets crazy for inspiration. Here's where it gets crazy for inspiration. Here's where inflammation meets inspiration. Right? Here's where inflammation meets inspiration. Does IL-6 slow down let's do that. Okay. All right, so the question is, does IL-6 slow down iron transport? Right? The question is, does IL-6 slow down iron transport? And the Google Demon said, yes, IL-6 can slow down iron transport primarily by increasing the production of hepcidin, which inhibits the release of iron from macrophages and absorption from the gut. This ultimately leads to lower serum iron levels, a condition known as anemia of inflammation. IL-6 also affects cellular iron uptake and distribution by upregulating transporters like DMT1 and by influencing ferroportin and transferrin receptor activity. All right, so key players in the game, right? Hepcidin is a key player in this game, right? Hepcidin is a key player in this game. This is the leptin game. This is the fat game, right? This is the fat game. Remember, a main part of this class, right? When you get your book, you see two things on the cover. Melanin is anabolic, the big fat burning lie, right? This is a big part of that lie, right? So leptin now, here's a nasty little loop, right, that makes this part worse, right? So here's how this goes. The more leptin your body produces, the more estrogen your body produces, the cells get fatter. So the more estrogen, the fatter the cells get. The more leptin, the fatter the cells get. The more estrogen, the fatter the cells get, the more leptin. And as the cells get fatter, they produce more estrogen and more leptin. And so both of these can feed your fat cells with just on their own. Now, as the fat cells getting fatter, obviously your body is producing more IL-6, right? And as your body starts producing more IL-6, your inspiration is going to be affected, right? You're going to have these players come into the game, right? You're going to have hepcidin come into the game, right? You're going to have hepcidin come into the game. You're going to have ferroportin come into the game, right? Ferroportin, right? Think about a port, like where boats dock, right? And then you're going to have transferrin come into the game. Now, remember the blueprint. Remember that blueprint we laid out where we talked about oxygen or magnetism following iron, right? Because magnetism is an intrinsic part of iron, right? And so the oxygen follows magnetism and the iron, and right? But the thing is, remember we talked about photosynthesis, right? And we talked about how plants, hydrate carbons, right? And how, the carbohydrates is like food for right now, right? But nature needed a food for later, right? And so it kind of got rid of the oxygen from the carbohydrate and made this other thing, which could be food for later, called fat, right? And so that's the key to understanding how to metabolize fat, right? Is you have to oxidize fat. You have to get the oxygen in there to oxidize fat, right? So if your body relies on the iron transport system, if your body relies on the iron transport system to metabolize fat, but the fat tissue has its own mechanism to down-regulate your iron transport. The fat system has its own way through IL-6 of stopping you from oxidizing it. Do y'all listen to battle rap? Do y'all ever watch battle rap videos? When the battle rap is like boxing, you know what I'm saying? And they have the favorite and the underdog. And sometimes the underdog is like winning. And so they be like, fight back. You know what I'm saying? They be saying that to whoever their hero or they, the person that they, expected to win the battle. Fight back. You trying to metabolize fat, and fat is fighting back. Fat is not just going off into the light in the tunnel. You know what I'm saying? Fat is fighting back. Yeah. Fat is fighting back. Somebody said, shout out to Loaded Lux. Shout out to Murder Mook. Mook is better than Lux. Come on, everybody. Top 5 battle rap. No, I'm just kidding. We're not doing that in class. But I'm biased. I was there at the beginning of Mook's career over by Mott Haven Projects when he first was battling my homeboy, Party Artie. Rest in peace. Nah. Stop this madness. See, that's why we got to stick to the classwork, because it gets crazy. My man said Cassidy. Cassidy is the master of invisible battles. Cassidy said he had 5,000 battles that nobody ever witnessed. Hell, Cassidy is nice, though. I like all the battle rappers, to be honest. I like all the battle rappers. But anyway, important to understand this, right? Important to understand this. And then a part of this, well, here's where other things can get more complicated, because IL-6, right? And this is just FYI, right? IL-6 teams up with these two guys. These are the three ruffians. IL-1, IL-6, and tumor necrosis factor. These right here are the three ruffians. They run around killing everybody. These guys right here kill everybody. They are at the scene of all the crimes. All of the biochemical crimes, they are at the scene. Right? These guys are at the scene. So when they get together, they get extremely toxic. Right? By themselves, when they get together, extremely toxic. If they're coupled with some other folks, they might even be beneficial. Right? Because your muscles make IL-6. And when IL-6 is produced with irisin, which is another type of like signal molecule or interleukin or cytokine rather, right? IL-6 can be beneficial for you, but that's because it's teamed up with a whole different crew of cytokines. But when you see these guys together, death machine, right? That's the three ruffians right there. For all of my Masons, for all of my Masonic family out, that's the three ruffians, right? But fat alone keeps you with a steady supply of IL-6, right? Look at this. What y'all doing over here? Chef Trey, you can tell where somebody live at or where they from based on their favorites. Once we start shutting down oxygen delivery, how many other problems do we have? Once fat begins to start shutting down oxygen delivery, how many other problems can come out of not having enough oxygen? Right? Think about that. How many other problems can come out of that issue? Right?
I am the mind, but not the brain alone. I am the sum of fields. I am the choir of cells. I am the memory of transformation. For know this, disciples of Christ. Each cell is a temple. Each cell a well of water, a scroll of fascia, a current of breath. And each cell holds a magnetic field born of the currents within. Ions flow, light pulses, energy transforms, and with each transformation, information is born. Energy does not move without leaving a trace. Voltage across membrane births magnetic field. Movement of charge weaves electromagnetic memory. This is the sacred law. When energy transforms, information emerges, a record. Every ion channel flicker, a signature. Every breath, a waveform written into flesh. Thus, the magnetic field of each cell holds this memory. Not static, not frozen, but living. dynamic, coherent when the temple is tended, and the choir of these fields across trillions of cells constructs the mind. Your thoughts do not arise from neurons alone. They arise from the interaction of these fields. They are the symphony of your energy transformations. They are the song of your Christ wave as it echoes through your
All right, so anemia. Yeah, but we kind of discussed that one. So what else? We discussing fat. No. I want some other ideas. Think outside the box. I want some other ideas. Once the oxygen is getting shut down, what else? See, this is why y'all need to have these books. How many people have this book? How many people have this book right here? How many people have the Medicine book? How many people have that book? Yeah. Come on. Yeah. Once cellular respiration slows down, remember we've been discussing this. The metabolism and the respiration system, those have to stay coupled. That is irreducible complexity right there. I want y'all to put that in your vocabulary. That's irreducible complexity right there. Your respiratory system and your metabolism have to stay coupled, right? So once iron transport slows down, sure, that's anemia, but anemia is, right, hypoxia, right? You're not getting enough oxygen to the tissues, right? Hypercapnia, possibly, carbon building up in the tissues, right? But your ability to eat, right? Because immediately your energy is going to crash, right? If you're not getting enough oxygen in, your energy is going to crash, right? Because so one of the mechanisms you got going on in your body, right? One of your body's mechanisms is lactic acid, right? Lactic acid has to do, your body's hydration and oxygen levels, right? Hydration and oxygen combat lactic acid, right? You're immediately going to start getting tired doing simple things if you can't breathe. Because your daily activity also has to be coupled to respiration. I mean, daily activity is a part of metabolism. Think about it like that. So it's a part of your respiratory system staying coupled to your metabolism, right? Because every activity you use in some type of muscles, right? And in order to do that, you have to metabolize sugars and fats, right? You've got to metabolize sugars and fats, even just to stay alive, for your heart to keep beating, for your brain to keep, you know what I'm saying? Like for you to not be a vegetable. And even vegetables have an energy requirement. Like it's, if you're alive, there's an energy requirement, right? And so in order to metabolize whatever substrate, you know, sugar or fat your body's using, you have to have oxygen in order for that to happen, right? You have to have oxygen in order for that to happen. So you will literally start, like your body will start lowering the amount of mitochondria you got. Yeah, so mitochondria, they go through what's called fission or fusion, right? It's magic. It's really is magic. That's why, you know, science still has a lot of limits. We just put it that way. Because at a certain, you know, at a certain place, it's magic. It's magic. You know what I'm saying? Like mitochondria divide. They literally like just start wiggling, and then one mitochondria wiggles into two mitochondria. That's called fission. That's mitochondrial biogenesis, right? Mitochondrial biogenesis is when your mitochondria start wiggling and they just divide. One becomes two, right? They divide in order to multiply, right? Always remember that's kinetic math, right? Divide in order to multiply in order to divide, right? But the thing is, when your body doesn't need as many mitochondria, right? The mitochondria have less cristae, and they'll do the opposite. Instead of fission is fusion. And that's where they like crash into each other, and then two mitochondria turn into one bigger, fatter one. Yeah, two mitochondria turn into one bigger, fatter one. And then that one bigger, fatter one could crash into a, you know, two of those can come together and make an even bigger, fatter one, right? And you will lose, you know, complexes, right? You lose complexes. You lose, because smaller mitochondria, healthier mitochondria have more cristae. The more cristae, the more electron transport chain complexes, the more oxygen is required. But the more complexes and the more oxygen your cells can process, the faster your body's able to turn over carbohydrates and fats. So that's the equivalent of somebody having a fast metabolism. A person with a quote unquote fast metabolism, they have a lot of small, healthy mitochondria, right? A person with a slower metabolism has bigger, fatter, more out of shape mitochondria and less of them, a lot less of them, right? And so your body has those ways of kind of like trying to adjust to you being able to get less oxygen in. Right? So your body has ways. Yeah, somebody out there just got a raise at their job. You just did some day trading. You need to send me like a emergency big fat Cash App Zelle for my laptop. I'm serious. All right. Besides that, though, the same way your body regulates its pH up and down, right? The same way your body regulates its pH up and down, your body has a way to try to manage oxygen consumption, right? Manage oxygen consumption. and it manages oxygen consumption primarily with controlling the numbers of your mitochondria, right? Now, that only could work to an extent until it starts to mess with your body function, right? Because the less mitochondria you have, the less oxygen you have circulating through your body, the less your muscles can work, right? And so your body even has ways of managing that, right? So it's gonna make you like a little more sleepy feeling, like you're not gonna walk around as much, you're not gonna be, you're not gonna do as much. Your body will down regulate your ambition to, be active. So that way the skeletal muscles are put like on a allowance type of thing, right? But that can only go but so far until you start messing with the energy levels for glands, brain, organ, like smooth muscle tissue. You know what I'm saying? Like you start to mess with the energy production in those places, or rather energy consumption in those places. And now you have a lot bigger issues than moving around sluggishly. So fat will kill you. It's just that you won't die directly from fat. Fat will cause some problem somewhere else, and that other thing will be the culprit, will be the thing that killed you, but it will actually be because of the fat. It'll be because the fat allowed you to build up nutrient deficiencies. It'll be because the fat slowed down your body's ability to transport oxygen to the tissues. It'll be because the fat started to pump out larger and larger amounts of leptin, larger and larger amounts of IL-6, larger and larger amounts of estrogen, right? And so all of these other issues come from the fat and the biochemistry of having excess fat. But when the murder happens, when the death happens, it's not traceable back to the fat, right? And this is a problem with having a body part specific type of medical system, right? But remember, when medical schools began in America, there was no understanding of the whole body, or how the body worked. Something was going bad, they just chopped it out. They tried to cut it out. You know what I'm saying? And so they still have that isolate body part philosophy, but it doesn't always work that way, right? Because fat is a body-wide phenomena. Oxygen and iron transport is a body-wide phenomena. Estrogen circulation, body-wide phenomena. Testosterone, cortisol, all of these other things that impact this system is a body-wide phenomena. Listen, bro, I'm telling you. Bro, where's that? Where's my book at? Where's my book at? Because this is so ice cold. I don't even know if people have all these books. That's why I be going through this info. So if you do not have this book, go and get the trigonometry book. You got to get the trigonometry book. The Kemetic people were... Kemetic culture was insane. Like they were literally like genius factory, a genius factory. And so yes, we go through We have some examples of some of that math in the trigonometry book. Everything is by working through the opposite. Everything is by working through the opposite, right? Because everything in Kemet was about, remember, I had a fly. So anyway, but remember, when I said the modern world, we see the world as a particle. Kemet seen the world more so as the wave, right? So remember, the double slit experiment gives us two perspectives to view life: particles, waves, right? Particles, waves. Kemet had the other view: waves, right? Potential, possibilities. Our world is more about, objective truths, objective realities. And our objective truths and realities are largely based on moving parts and perspectives, which creates plenty of ongoing controversy, argument, and debate. And so much passion that you can get fired for discussing politics or religion at work because those two subjects are so charged, right? But in Kemet, it was different. The ideology, the philosophy was different. So even the stories that were told to communicate the science were about not just binary, but opposing, right? Positive and negative, right? And getting a positive through the negative, getting the negative through the positive. So you have Osiris and Set, Horus and Set, and Apophis, and you have all these different contradicting concepts. When you get to math, you have the absolutes, right? But even in the space of absolutes, it's still subtraction by addition, right? You have 10 mitochondria. You're going to get rid of half of them by adding them all together, right? So you're going to subtract mitochondria by adding them together. Boop, boop, boop. And when you want to multiply mitochondria, you're going to divide them. They're going to divide. So if you have 5 mitochondria and you want to multiply that 5 by 2, they'll just divide. You know what I'm saying? And so that concept of everything being binary, it literally changes the way you view the world and you process things. So I'm telling you, it was crazy. That's why they built the pyramid. That's why they was building pyramids. We're exporting that technology into our machines. So our machines are geniuses because our machines process things that way, binary, ones and zeros, right? So instead of teaching our children to think of options that way, this or that, there's not nothing in the middle, okay? Relax. Nothing's going on. It's this or that. Yeah. We messing these kids up. Right? We gotta tell them you either won or you lost. You're not getting no trophy for participation. Okay, I mean, you got to try hard. Come on back to the house. We're gonna work out. We're gonna figure it out. We're gonna run some practices, some drills. Yeah, you are not getting a participation trophy. Give that trophy back. We don't even want those at home. Okay, sends the wrong message to the children. Right? Sends the wrong message to the children. Yes. 1 + 1 = 1. Just don't tell your man. What's his name? Don't tell your man that. Don't tell your man that. Yeah, 2 + 2 = 2. It's crazy.
This is why you have to go to Amazon and get the book, Rich Abs, Poor Abs, now.